My name is Louis Martiné, and I've been content editor for Black Moon for 30 plus years. During that time, I've seen the way we communicate with people change so much. We started out with simply a typewriter, and now here we sit 30 plus years later doing videos for the internet. In New Orleans, I was a drummer, a priest, and an elder. I am still a drummer, a priest, and an elder, but I'm out of New Orleans now. I plan to go back. I do plan to go back. And when I was in New Orleans, I was in service to the New Orleans Voodoo Spiritual Temple. I think that the temple, particularly Priestess Miriam, her heart is so strong, so big, and she has such power. And that the temple itself is a fine example of New Orleans voodoo, of the uniqueness of New Orleans voodoo. Katrina changed a lot of things. It added so much uncertainty. I don't know now when I'm going back. I know that I am trying to go back. I know that I've settled all the insurance questions and I'm trying to go back. But when I go back, I will be with the temple again, and I will again in New Orleans be a drummer, a priest, and an elder. Even with all this uncertainty, with Katrina, with the hurricane, I know that underneath it all there is a plan, that there are underpinnings to all of it that fit together. I know that as a priest, I know that as a drummer, I know that as an elder. Part of it is, and this is very important, that with Katrina, the exact date in August that the hurricane hit New Orleans is the date where the beheading of St. John the Baptist is celebrated. That is the date on which the beheading is celebrated. St. John's Eve is so important to our voodoo, and to have the hurricane come in on that date points to something. My evacuation, I went up north, I live up north now. The back of my house has a stream that is named the River Jordan. And of course the River Jordan is where St. John the Baptist actually did his baptism. So I know as a drummer, as an elder, as a priest, that there is something to this. There is an underpinning to this that I can hold on to. And once I can hold on to, I can communicate that to other people, that it could mean something too. My work at this point has three parts to it, three main parts. The first being to share with those that are interested the uniqueness of New Orleans voodoo. Our voodoo, and particularly now I'm talking about before Katrina, before Hurricane Katrina, was something unique to the spiritual world, and I would hate for that to be lost. I don't know. I don't know if in the future it will mean anything to anyone, but I would like to have the information available so that the ancestors of the future could make that determination. Number two, I teach an order of service that developed at the New Orleans Voodoo Spiritual Temple over years of open rituals that we held on Thursdays. This order of service is based on a birth. In terms of the order of service, I teach the rhythms, the drum rhythms, and offer a confirmation in having heard the rhythms. The third part of my work consists of the connection that I have made and that I have seen between New Orleans voodoo and Tibetan Buddhism. I was lucky enough to spend a year in contact with or at a Tibetan cultural center. The Tibetans are refugees, much in the same way we are refugees from New Orleans. A little bit more intense maybe with the Tibetans, a little bit more intense. But I can see that in the past, as our voodoo has come together with Roman Catholicism, the beliefs of Roman Catholicism, the saints of Roman Catholicism, that now it can come together with more systems. And maybe one of these systems, at least to me, in my heart, is Tibetan Buddhism. At this point, I offer no animal sacrifices. That is probably one of the main ways to bring the systems together. I don't think that animal sacrifices are necessary. I use red palm oil and the white palm oil. So those are the three ways. Those are the three elements of my main elements of my practice now. And I count myself as being very fortunate to still be a part of Black Moon and be able to make a video like this. Thank you.